Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Student of the Game. I am Kyle Nash, the Student of the Game, and listen, if you're not here, chances are you like talking sports. And, well, let's put it this way. We're glad you're doing it here with us. You better be out here talking sports with us because, hey, we like having fun too. And listen, let's get this right out the gate. I had a lot of different directions I was going to go. But suddenly people went absolutely nuts in the NFL and started trading receivers left, right, forward, center, and every other direction. And I know everybody was shocked about the Roy Robertson Harris. No one was worried about Roy Robertson Harris outside of Duval. Okay, I get that. Why did I even mention it? So I could plug the Duval dive. That's right. Travis D. Holmes and I came around and talked about that trade earlier, as well as the upcoming match with the Patriots. Make sure you check that out as well. Duval Dive YouTube channel, like and subscribe there. However, Davante Adams and Davante Adams and the Browns made the trade as well with Amari Cooper to the Bills. Start with Davante Adams. I know it seemed likely, and I know the running joke is that we all know where Davante Adams would go. By the way, a quick shout out to Mickey Delaney jumping in. What's going on, Mick? Good to see you in the comments as always. We all knew, or at least we thought we did, and this time we happen to be right, about the only predictable thing that would happen with the Jets, by the way, one could argue, involved another team. Anyways, where according to social media, what I saw from Antoine V. Staley, writer for the New York Daily News, good friend of this show, by the way, has been on this show, talking Jets. He asked of Davante Adams, was it just about, did you ask them basically to go to the Jets? And the answer was essentially yes. The efforts for Las Vegas was, or the efforts for Davante was say, hey, put me with the Jets. And they were like, okay, let's figure it out. So I don't think we're fooling anybody there. Okay. Does anybody actually think that Davante Adams to the Jets makes a difference? I don't think so. Right? The offensive line for the Jets is still bad. Breece Hall is still hurt or battling injury, or probably soon to be back on injury, depending on, what his situation. Am I calling him injury prone? Yes. Is he a good football player? Absolutely. There's a reason why he was drafted much higher than his college quarterback, Brock Purdy. Goodness gracious. By the way, speaking of Iowa State, I'll be covering them as well with the black and gold banneret. The UCF Knights play them as well in football on Saturday, so check that out, Night Shift Podcast. But I don't think the trade makes a difference. Aaron Charles Rodgers is still in trouble. The Jets, or I shouldn't say in trouble, but under constant duress. Aaron Charles Rodgers is not the same Aaron Charles Rodgers of old, just like we tried to tell everybody. The wrong coach got fired for the Jets as a hit job was put on by Aaron Rodgers on Robert Saleh, and I don't care what you're telling me, right? Aaron Charles, Tony Soprano Rodgers had something to do with that. I would need to be shown evidence to believe otherwise. So you think Davante Adams is going to fix all that dysfunction already? The fact that you fired your coach midseason ahead of the following teams, the Dallas Cowboys, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Cleveland Browns, although I don't think Stefanski should be fired. That's a separate conversation. And another list of struggling teams really states to the state of desperation there in East Rutherford with your New York Jets. But you think Davante Adams is going to solve that? I don't see it. Speaking of the Cleveland Browns, Amari Cooper, now a Buffalo Bill, based again on draft picks or whatever. I know there's a conditional this and the trade for that, whatever. That's not what I'm worried about right now. We'll get more into that, I suppose, later. But we had been saying with the Bills that the bet they made was that they were planning to replace Stephon Diggs in the aggregate and hope they can match his production other places, right? Like, Dalton Kincaid, tight end spot, right? That just one, that's just one of the places that they were looking to do that, and plenty of credit to Khalil Shakir. He's been a big part. I've been impressed with him since last year. And people want to tell me about Curtis Samuel. Yeah, okay, he's all right. Keon Coleman made a couple plays. They're trying to get it in the aggregate. However, seeing their running back core in the state to where they're starting a guy as young as Frank Gore Jr., no disrespect to Frank the Tank Jr. now, but I think this was a good move to maybe you're trying to replace Stephon Diggs in the aggregate, a la Jason Giambi and Moneyball. Excellent movie about data. Baseball is just a backdrop, by the way. But I'll tell you this, having another piece like Amari Cooper in your aggregate, not bad. Not bad at all. But what does that say about the Browns, too? Like, them punting on this season, okay, I'm not mad at it. They figured out Deshaun Watson, his headspace is not right to be the quarterback that he once was 2, 3, 4 years ago. Right? When he ironically eliminated Buffalo in a playoff game as the quarterback of the Houston Texans. So that MVP caliber form is clearly not there. The Browns are opting to reboot, it looks like, and they're moving one of their, if not the biggest offensive piece, at the very least in the receiver core, because I mean, in the Browns defense, okay, in the Browns defense, they do still have pretty good running backs. Just going to throw it out there. It's a good running team. I don't think anybody's fooled by me saying that. But here's where I think the other shoe's going to drop then. What this trade has told us, that they're shipping parts and all of this in a world where Kevin Stefanski is still a thing, and he should remain. I haven't seen enough to feel like he's the problem, frankly, especially when you get the immortal Joe Flacco to steal the Comeback Player of the Year award from a dead guy. You got an NFL guy. He's an NFL zombie starting on the Bills defense, by the way, who now gets to practice against a member of that team that got Joe Flacco to steal the award from him. You got to love it. But that element, I think Stefanski should get a pass, get another year. He should at least get a shot at the next quarterback, too, in my opinion. I know that's not how things work in this NFL unless you're like the Ravens or the Steelers or something, okay? And you're one of these longevity franchises. But don't be shocked if other pieces in Cleveland start getting shipped, right? If the desperation is further setting in with, let's say, they'll put Myles Garrett up there. I can't rule that out. I'd say one of the running backs. I can't rule that out, can I? Can you? Can anybody? But as they ship more pieces and get more draft picks and try to build a team around this albatross that is Deshaun Watson, you can't help but think more pieces are going to go. Or maybe they're planning on holding on to the running backs because that's the core of the team at this point. I don't know. Receivers don't matter if you don't have a quarterback that could get them the ball. That's a fair point, I guess. I don't know. It's a whole thing where I do like the move for the Bills. Chances are they're going to have a relatively high draft pick, whether they make the playoffs or not. I know they're not going to be in the 30s. But I also know they're not going to be in the high teens or in the single digits either. So, what kind of a pick are they really sacrificing? I think it's a chance for the Browns to then augment whatever their first pick was. Maybe not to the same extent as the Houston Texans, but 2 high picks there, a la the Will Anderson and CJ Stroud. I don't know. But considering those trades happened out of nowhere the way they did, that's what we had to talk about to start out, and that's what we had to get going. But There's another surprise that's been taking place in the NFL, and we already talked about the Commanders last week and the shocking stuff that Jalen Daniels has done. But now I'm in another place. I'm in a place where the first year he was a Heisman candidate and won it, I predicted it. And then the next year he continued to play awesome football and people just decided to disrespect him. Well, one group of people didn't disrespect him, and that was the Chicago Bears. Now, if I'm going to talk Chicago Bears, the list of people I will bring in is short. But of course, I went as local as I could. I went right up the thing here to the coast, to Melbourne, to Sports Radio 1560 The Fan, the host of the Mark Moses Show, the man himself, the incomparable Mark Moses in the building. What's going on, man?
Kyle, my man, it's been a long day. It's a little chilly outside here in Florida, but please stop talking about that trash football team called the Cleveland Browns. They dug their own grave. It's their fault. They have no one else to blame but themselves. They didn't have to give Watson that guaranteed contract, and they did it. They did. No one else wanted to give him that contract, and Houston's like, okay, all right, take him. Go for it. It was ridiculous, man.
I mean, Miami was in the bidding war. Let's remember that part.
Oh.
Let's not forget that existed.
Hey, I'll give you another one that goes with the Bears. And you think about, in hindsight, they dodged a bullet. That front office wanted to go get Russell Wilson from Seattle, and the Bears were ready to give a gigantic package to get him. And luckily, Seattle said no. Them saying no might have saved the Bears as well now, if you look at 2024, because that's what happened to Denver, which is a complete disaster after one season. So that's why you never know with some of these moves of the last couple of years.
No, in fairness, you wouldn't have had Nathaniel Hackett as your head coach in that scenario, but it would not have been as formidable, one would argue. And I it was still weird, those physics too, with the Justin Fields era and all that. And my timeline's getting a little janky on what was going on. But yeah, that I think it's safe to say that it's clear the path taken is why you're here on this show tonight, to celebrate and to walk me through what the heck happened with the Bears to get them where they are now, where we're seeing a little success.
Look, this all goes back to that final game a couple years ago when the Houston Texans beat the Indianapolis Colts in week 17, right? With Lovie Smith as their coach. And they kept converting these fourth downs. They hit a 2-point conversion. And that's the domino. I'm telling you, this is going to be the greatest 30 for 30 of all time, because they win that game to get the second pick. And then the Bears get the first pick. And then they said, all right, we'll trade the pick. We have Justin Fields. Carolina goes up. They're insane. They give up the King's ransom to get Bryce Young. And look, I'm sorry. I just want to say this. I love the NFL draft. I cover it extensively. Everyone said take Bryce Young at number 1. I don't know where everyone thinks they're a genius now. Everyone said take Bryce Young. They took Bryce Young. It was a terrible pick. And they're still getting punished for it because they owe the Bears another second-round pick. And look, and the other thing, if you want to go, hey, the Bears won 7 games last year. Let's say Fields plays out of his mind. They win 10 games. They go to the playoffs. They're probably not going to take Caleb Williams with the first pick. That's the other thing that's crazy with this.
That's a great point.
So it's all, see, and I keep bringing this up. So last year, Justin Fields got injured again against Minnesota and missed multiple games. Yeah. So Tyson Bagent from like Division II football, he starts 4 games, goes 2-2, and you can see the offense was clicking and was quicker with Bagent under center than Justin Fields. And I think that kind of just sealed the fate. And I love Justin Fields. I watched him for 3 straight years. Yeah. And I think he's going to keep being the starter. I'm knocking Russell Wilson again. I think he's going to continue there in Pittsburgh. All these dominoes had to fall in place. And even on top of that, they try to say, hey, that Jane Daniels guy, he's the real deal. He's a superstar. Okay. He can be great. But Caleb Williams is a pick. Everyone in the NFL said take Caleb Williams. And now we're starting to see he's getting better and better and better. Bears are on the bye week. And then they get the Commanders 425 on October 27th. I can't wait.
Yeah, and no matter what happens in that game, you know who the winner is? America. Name me another time since 2012 where there's been two young quarterbacks coming out looking this good. Of course, 2012, I referenced Andrew Luck, RG3, another, former Commander Washington,
Yeah.
And then, by the that's the Russell Wilson year, ironically, where he supplants Travaris Jackson and Matt Flynn in Seattle, all 2012. I think that's the last time we've seen young quarterbacks perform right like that right out of school.
I heard a comment, my buddy Mike Tuck, who does radio as well in Central Florida. He came on today. He made this point about
Mike Tuck is great people, by the way.
James Daniels, Caleb Williams. These guys started in the NFL in college for multiple years and won the Heisman Trophy. Won a lot of big football games in college compared to someone like Anthony Richardson, or if you look at your respect, Mitch Trubisky.
Because you didn't say it, I was going to say it because I got my Niners cap. You're still getting Christmas cards for that fleecing, sir. Anyway,
yes, I am. But it's the point of they had reps. They played in college at a high level and won a lot of football games. So now look, they're both going to have struggles moving forward. You're not going to be perfect. People are going to adjust to you,
right?
But these guys, they look fantastic so far. And look, I think Bo Nix has a chance as well. Who played 17 years in college. That's what it felt like. But he also has a chance. Drake May, North Carolina with the Patriots, he didn't look awful. He was making some plays out there. Just give them time to grow as football players. And I've been saying this for 2 weeks. It's a sign of the apocalypse. Chicago and Washington might have starting quarterbacks who can win football games. That's what it feels like, buddy.
By the way, let me add to that apocalypse. In a world where the Bears are doing well, we're talking more about the offense than the defense. I can't remember a time that's happened, Mark Moses.
It reminds me of, and it's funny, today is the 18th anniversary of the day when the Bears played on Monday Night Football against the Arizona Cardinals, where they're down 20.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone knows. This is what's funny. Everyone knows. You want to crown them, crown their asses. Everyone knows with Dennis Green. So that season was very special, 2006, where we get the number 1 seed, we go to the Super Bowl. And what was great about that team, which was special, was you had the best defense in football. They could run the football. And then you had Devin Hester. There was something extra there that other teams, and I still to this day, I'll take it to my grave where we should have won that Super Bowl. It's one of my, I still get angry about that game, but I bring that up from the standpoint of what I saw on Sunday against the Jacksonville Jaguars, where it finally, for the first time, maybe since 2018 or even before that, 2010, it feels like the Bears are back playing Bears football, where we're creating turnovers and we're scoring. But the difference is like with 06, where you have Hester as the thing. There's something here that we've never brought to the table before, which every other team in the history of mankind has done. I think we have a person who can throw the football.
Yes, the forward pass, right?
Forward. And that's why I texted this. All the Jaguar insiders, with you included, get very angry at me when I say this. They're wow plays from Caleb Williams. They're wow. Wow, that's awesome. This is must-see TV. I don't see that from Trevor Lawrence. I don't. Where are the wow plays?
The reason why you don't see wow plays from Trevor Lawrence is because he makes 2 or 3 wow plays to even get the damn ball off. That's the part that's getting missed,
Well, his receivers dropped 4 touchdown passes in that
Correct.
game.
I'm glad I didn't have to say it this time. Thank you, Mark Moses.
Yeah, but there looks like, and the Bears are in the hardest division of football. And I said that during training camp. I said, this is going to be the most loaded division. 4th place might win 8-9 games. I think the NFC East is so weak that it's going to make one of these other divisions better. And that's going to be the North. And the stats I'll throw at you that just are so shocking is the Bears against Carolina 2 weeks ago had 5 touchdowns. On offense, not special teams, not defense. No, 5 on offense. Okay. 5 on offense. And then on Sunday morning in London, they had 5 more. That's the first time I think maybe in 70 years they've ever done that. I mean, it's and you just throw out this idea like, when have this team actually been good in the NFL? So if you go from 2000, you go 24 years ago, they won the division in 01, they won it in 05, 06, 2010. Okay, they made the playoffs. 2018, they won the division again. Wild card in 2020. That's it. I just named them off one hand. That is sad, buddy. Sad. You know, people talk about Detroit Lions. Yeah, there's some pain as well with the Bears.
Yeah, no, well, and again, I think, and you mentioned some of these other successes, and like 2018, like everybody's going to remember the double doink and all that other stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's they are similar to the Saints in that way, in that when they do have success, something inevitably goes wrong. I feel like the year where everything went the Bears' way, the only thing that didn't go the Bears' way was having Rex Grossman as quarterback. That was the problem.
Hey, the double doink game, I think they lose 17-15.
Yeah.
And they missed they couldn't score. They couldn't score points when it mattered. And I think they lost to Nick Foles. Man, you're bringing up some bad memories, buddy. You're doing it to me. Okay?
We're bringing up the bad so we can cherish the good that is Caleb Williams here. And again, we mentioned all the other stuff. Here's another stat drop for you, buddy. Those 4 touchdowns, the most thrown in passing touchdowns at a UK game. That has not been done in London before. So
and here's the thing: the biggest rival is Green Bay. So to drive you crazy. So the Bears, they finished around 12:30 Eastern. I'm really excited. Oh man, our quarterback threw 4 touchdowns. This is incredible. The Bears are back. They got an offense. Then you look at the Packers game. Oh yeah, Jordan Love threw 4 touchdowns. That's normal. That's a Sunday for them. There's nothing remarkable about that. That it's just it just pains me to say that out loud.
What is remarkable is having another quarterback after having 2. I'm not saying Jordan Love is generational, but not having any dip. At least between Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck, there was a period known as suck for luck, right? Curtis, I should have been a painter, was your quarterback. And they were flat awful. I was personally in the building for them to get trounced. I think they were down, 43-0 in New Orleans, and the marching band comes out and does the score. And I'm thinking to myself, as a guy who did marching band, ain't nobody practiced that chart, because no one saw a score like that at halftime before there at the Superdome. That is not a thing that happened. Okay.
No, but it shows you, look, gotta have a quarterback. Here's the example: the Miami Dolphins. They had the number 1 offense last year, pretty much in the regular season, and Tua, just gigantic stats. And they had a game last year, they scored 70 points against Denver. You look at this, they lose Tua due to another concussion. Hopefully he can come back in about 2 weeks. But 70 points in one game last year. Now Tua doesn't really play through 5 games. They haven't even scored 50 combined points. Mm-hmm. And the sad thing is, the NFL does that top 100, Kyle, where all the players vote who are the best players. Hey, Tyreek Hill was at number 1 overall by all the players. But you know what? If no one can get him the ball, he's irrelevant on the football field. And you brought up the Cleveland pass rusher, Myles Garrett. Yeah. Hey, he is a future Hall of Famer. But you know what? He doesn't have the ball in his hands. So who cares if he gets 10 sacks in the season if we can't score points?
Exactly. No, hey man, I'll put it this way. The only Super Bowl I can think of where patently both quarterbacks were less than great. You should remember this one. The Baltimore Ravens with Trent Dilfer against Kerry Collins and the New York Giants. And that's an all historical legendary defense. I mean, at least with Brad Johnson winning the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers, they were playing a Rich Gannon that featured Tim Brown and Jerry Rice as twin wide receivers. So the days of the air quotes less than great quarterback winning a Super Bowl are a thing of the past. I'm with you.
Remember that Ravens team? Tony Banks was the starter for most of the season. And there's the stat where they went, I don't know, a couple weeks without scoring an offensive touchdown, and they kept winning football games. And remember, this now we're going old school. Remember, they win the Super Bowl, then they say, all right, well, we're going to go get a quarterback. So they dump Trent Dilfer and get Elvis Gurr back.
I remember the Gerbach acquisition. I do.
And then it didn't work.
Yes, as a Niner fan, I laughed when I saw it too. Yes,
it's just crazy to think of. Look, you talk about quarterback. Look, the team you grew up rooting for, the 49ers, just think you botched this Trey Lance pick so bad. And it didn't matter because you got Brock Purdy and a bag of beans. Like, it's incredible. Like, what?
Hey, let's keep in mind, it only got to Purdy because Garoppolo got hurt. All right. They took Jimmy Grops to a Super Bowl, and then Patrick Mahomes II did, and that's the only reason why they won.
You know what it is? I think deep in your heart, I think if Purdy does get injured, I think you believe you're going to beat the Eagles in that championship game. And that's what I start thinking.
I've said it on the show. What are we talking about? Eagles fans know it. They're just too scared to admit it. Because everybody, even with Josh Johnson in there, which, God, that poor deer in the headlights guy, let me tell you, the Eagles did not pull away in that football game until Christian McCaffrey was the emergency, I'm going to air quote it, quarterback. That mess was a wildcat, let's be real.
Who would have started, okay, let's say you pull out that game, you win it. Who starts the Super Bowl for the Niners then?
Joe Flacco?
Yeah, probably. That happened to my Bears in 2010, which the crazy game against Green Bay, where Cutler injures himself.
Caleb
Haney. Because they put in, this is an actual game.
Yes.
So Cutler tries to go the first half. He's completely injured. So they tried putting in the backup Jonathan Quinn, who was one of the worst quarterbacks ever.
He was bad.
He can't do anything. So they put the third stringer who hasn't played all year, and we only lose by 7. If he would have won that football game, it would have been the greatest win ever for the Bears, beating the Packers. And by the way, it's the only time Aaron Rodgers has ever won an NFC championship game. And the Super Bowl would have been in 2 weeks in Dallas, and it would have been Caleb Haney, the third stringer, who never started a game the whole year, against Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers. That would have been the game for the Super Bowl.
I think the Steelers, with all due respect, I think the Steelers would have kept that one closer than they did with the Peg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, that was the game when it was at Cowboy Stadium and Jerry Jones sold tickets to seats that didn't exist. I always remember that.
That's right. Yeah, they were supposed to be, allegedly, they were supposed to be bleachers or something, right?
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to the present day. Are your Bears a playoff team, Mark Moses?
We have a very interesting, and I say we because, look, I'm here every Sunday. I'm allowed to say that for the last 40 years.
You earned that right, Mark Moses.
Yeah. Very weird scheduling by the NFL where they played 6 games. They're 4-2. They've only played 2 NFC teams so far. They beat the Panthers and the Rams. Everyone else, they played 4 AFC South teams. What? It's so weird. And then they have the bye week now. Then they're going to take on Washington. Then it starts getting tough. It does. And it's backloaded with all division games. It's very weird the way they did it. I've never seen that before.
There's more and more. Another thing they do, I feel like I'm seeing this more and more too. Like there'll be a team in the division. They don't play for like 10 weeks. And then they'll cram 2 right close together. Like one of them will be week 13, and next will be week 18 or 17 or something. And they'll like just be crammed so close together. I'm like, they're still that familiar. Like, don't throw away the papers, guys. We got them, and it's
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It's going to be a gauntlet moving forward. It is with this NFC North. I said this yesterday on my show. Like, if you look, I think the NFC is more loaded, and it's going to be extremely hard to get to the Super Bowl. I think in the AFC, I think you got the Ravens and the Chiefs are above everyone else. And then maybe I got the Texans at 3. And then whoever else wants to make the playoffs. That's how I like the Chargers right now. They're playing well. We'll see if the Bills are good. I have no idea. After they're so, all over the place. I heard you say earlier about the trade for Mari Cooper. NFC, look, I like the Buccaneers. There are times they look like a Super Bowl contender. Other times they give up 500 yards to Kirk Cousins. Like, what the hell is this? I like Atlanta. I like San Francisco. And then I like every team in the NFC North. And I think it's going to be interesting with matchups, who gets home field. We have to find out if Minnesota is for real, right?
I was going to ask you about them. Are you taking them seriously? Because right now it's real hard for me.
The defense is legit, and they still have Justin Jefferson. I know you got to see Sam Darnold. You can't give him a gigantic contract after 5 games, right?
Right.
It's gonna take a while with them to see if they get it going. But Green Bay is dangerous. They're dangerous. Look, your Niners, held on to beat them. They could have won that game. The Packers.
If Jordan Love didn't channel Brett Favre, that would have been problematic.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
And the Lions, look, the Lions only have 1 loss, and that was to Tampa Bay. That's it. And they're destroying people. Yeah, this is going to be fascinating moving forward. It's about matchup, but I'm very excited. I am. And the question is, it's not compared to Florida, where we're in bizarro land, where it's going to get nicer with the weather, which I love, by the way. Okay. Who's built to play in the elements? Who is going, hey, if you're Detroit, you're Minnesota, hey, let's get home field. Let's get that 1 seed. We can be at home. We can be in the dome. Some of these other teams, this is going to be very interesting what happens here moving forward. I can't stress this enough. This is the corniest thing I will say to you. And I know if the ladies are watching, they're going to roll their eyes, but I don't care. It feels like for the first time in about 6 years, the fire is back. I'm actually excited. Oh my God, Kyle, we have a chance. Things are interesting. Hey, you know what? Maybe the sun will come up tomorrow. The flowers are blooming. I like it. I'm excited, buddy. I hope you are as well.
You've got that loving feeling for your Bears, it looks like, my friend.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm wearing, to honor you, I'm wearing my 2017 National Champions UCF hat just for you, buddy.
Hey, I appreciate that. Listen, my friends at the Black and Gold Banneret will certainly appreciate that. Some element of actual joy regarding UCF football, but that's another thing. Hey, I don't know if I'm going to see you tomorrow at UCF Hoops Media Day, but that's a thing.
I'm not ready. Look, I was at Magic Media Day 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, I'm not ready for basketball. And I love basketball, but no. Sorry, I'll see you around Christmas. That's how I look. And I love basketball. I'll see you around Christmas, guys. That's how I feel.
Hey, all I can tell you is around Christmas, I'll be able to talk Magic with you then too. But listen, you ask me if I'm ready. I have to remind you, my work with the Black and Gold Banneret, Mark Moses, I don't have a choice. So.
No, I get it. And you know what? I'll just tell you this with football. What's very interesting is, as an NFL fan, right now, we're here in mid-October. There's all this uncertainty with your question earlier. Who's good, who's bad, who's going to make a deep playoff run. We don't know. We kind of have an idea, but we don't know. It feels like college football with the 12-team playoff. For the first time in our lives, it feels that way as well. Where,
yes.
Yeah, what's going to happen here? Everyone's alive. This is going to be, and that, I think that's good, because the last couple of years, it's like, whatever, Georgia's going to make it. Ohio State's in. The rest of us are thinking, are we going to go to the Gasparilla Bowl? Like, that's what it feels like. But now it's like, hey, what's going on here? This is, hey, I like Texas, they're going to play Georgia. In a normal year, that's the game of the century. Now it's like, it's just a Saturday. All right, we'll see who wins, then we'll move on. We'll go to the next game. I think it's going to be fun with this stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you too. The only issue I have with it, at the end of the day, the committee's going to do everything they can to crowbar Notre Dame in. So, that stinks. But, over and above that, there's a lot of weirdness in the top 25. By the way, these AP writers need to actually watch some football games. It's
irrelevant.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter, because this after by the beginning of November, then AP vote goes away and it goes to the playoff top 25.
And then a different group of people get it wrong. That's kind of my point.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I have not said this to you. I've been very quiet, and I know you go extensive coverage on the Jaguars. You do a great job. There's some I have to tell you from the bottom of my heart. Okay. 2 things. Number one, you do a great job. Okay. I know you're running around the state like a madman. Okay. Covering all these teams. So I want to give you props. Number two, what the Bears defense does, they give you false hope. So you saw this on Sunday where the Jaguars came out on the first drive and went down the field and had some success, right? But they got settled for a field goal. And you're probably thinking as a Jaguars fan, okay, maybe we're going to have a nice day. No, the Bears let you go down the field on the first drive. They let you have false hope. Then they shut you down. They put you in the sleeper hold like it's Ric Flair. And then you do nothing the rest of the game. And that's what happened. And when the game got out of reach, then the Jaguars started to make some like garbage stats. The Bears defense is legit. And it will take hope away. It gives you a little like, oh, we got a chance here. That takes it away. That's what gets me very excited. And that trade for Montez Sweat saved the Bears late last season, saved the general manager, the head coach. And you see that whole secondary, every single guy in the Bears secondary was drafted by this front office. They all look like Pro Bowlers, all four of them. And they take away everything. And now you got a quarterback to go with it. And the other one, now you can see I'm getting hyped. You look at the Jets and you look at the Bills who made panic moves to get wide receivers on Tuesday. Hey, there was a wide receiver who was a Pro Bowler last year. Anyone could have gotten for a bag of beans. His name's Keenan Allen, and the Bears are the only ones that step up and get him. It's interesting.
You know, the only person that might be bitter after two of those statements, might be Travis D. Holmes, as you once again neglect to mention 4 drop touchdown passes did help that Bears defense, but I'm taking nothing from that Bears defense because they are legit, period. I just wanted to make the 4 drop touchdowns comment because I didn't have a chance to do it yet. But the other part is the Keenan Allen and just the overall pump up around Caleb Williams. I mean, if you're Justin Fields, you're like, the heck, guys.
If you're Bryce Young, what? I came into the league and I'm playing for like a Mac school. What the hell is this? I have nothing. Okay. Oh, Caleb Williams. I mean, you think about how many. I mean, DJ Moore is a superstar. Okay, he gets double teamed all the time. He is a star. Then Roma Dunze is getting completely lost because you have Cole Kmet, who's a big weapon, and they're finally getting him the ball, and Keenan Allen. And I think the key was also to get it going is Swift, the running back, who they picked up from Philadelphia. That's been big. You get him in space. He is a running back for 2024. He's not a bruiser. He is one of these Marshall Faulk type running backs. Once he started going, the offense started going.
Oh, and he's a versatility back. I like the point you make there. By the way, don't give up on Roma Dunze because, I'm pretty sure Keenan Allen is 867,000 years old. Dunze is going to get his time.
Yeah, I mean, it's DJ Moore, maybe Keenan Allen at 2. The Cole Kmet could be your second option at the tight end position. Then Roma Dunze as your 4th guy. And at Dunze, he had a great game against Indianapolis to start the season. I've never seen this before. It's just like, again, a 100 years of no forward passes, and maybe that changes. Okay. So it's one of those things. Look, I'm not missing the game. This is must-see TV moving forward. I can't stress this enough.
Your sock drawer has been the most unorganized it's ever been because you've been watching Bears football. That's right.
I was going to watch it anyway.
Well, yeah, you're that fan. I'm making the point that this team is that big an anomaly, which is why you're here talking about him here on the Student of the Game, Mark Moses. So we're about to jump in and do NFL picks. You want to do some picks?
I will do picks with you.
All right, my man. Let's say if you had to go, I'd have let you go, but let's do some picks, my man. I like it. All the way around. By the way, just a little behind the scenes. You got to love it when you had the page set up to do picks and then you went and researched something over the page you were going to use to do the picks.
No.
It's a great time. No, I got it fixed though. See, that's why I make jokes so much. A little bit more behind the curtain, Mark Moses. When I'm joking, I'm stalling. So
you're here. I'll bridge the gap so you can get it ready. You're like me. My mom always said this. I'm like the guy in the subway, and this is like you right now, where you got the guitar in your hand, the harmonica in your mouth, the drum behind you, right? You're just doing it all trying to get money, right? Entertaining people on the subway. That's what you're doing right now, jack of all trades.
Hey, man, you got to be doing this, man. Anyways, let's get some picks. Check the plane to make sure Trent Baalke isn't on it. And if he is, they're going to put him in the cargo hold and send the plane back. Yeah, I too have the Jags for this one, mostly because we're back to me and ACC quarterbacks. I don't think Drake May is it. And Trayvon Walker is going to eat. I think that'll be the difference in the game. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars to just in time for everybody to start talking rebuild. They get a win to screw up getting a higher draft pick.
Yeah.
Is there anything more Dolphins have so little on defense, it just doesn't matter, and they have even less now on offense.
Okay, I got to just say this.
I got you.
This is very key. This is a gigantic game for Tampa Bay, which kicks off 4 straight games of nonstop gauntlet level football. When you look at what they need to do, where they have Lamar Jackson and that Ravens offense, then they have Atlanta at home. Then I think they have San Francisco. Then I think they have Kansas City. So they're 4-2. They got to go 2-2. If they get to 3-1, that will be incredible if they could do that if they're Tampa Bay. But I'm telling you, 2-2 would probably be the best outcome to get to 6-4. Go through midway through November. Maybe that would be good for the Buccaneers. This game is big. I'm taking the Buccaneers in a close one, and they need this one bad. If they get smoked out of the building by the Ravens, I don't know what might happen over the next couple weeks after that. I'm taking the Buccaneers. What about you?
By the way, a quick add to your gauntlet. They're already down one to the Falcons, too. They need that desperately to avoid the sweep. So that's certainly a huge one over and above. Listen, for my first question is the health of Vita Vea. If he's good, this game will be close. If not, I pray for a shootout if you're a Buccaneers fan. If he's not, I'll put it that way. Give me Lamar Demetrius Jackson on the strength of the reemergence of Mark Andrews. Him and Isaiah Likely in an ace formation with Zay Flowers. Oh, by the way, it's Derrick freaking Henry. You want to know what the true antidote to a good defense is? A balanced offense led by a guy who himself is balanced and can throw the football regardless of what people say about him. Don't get me started, Mark Moses. I will.
No, you're right. And I said this earlier about the weather and the elements. Baltimore wants that 1 seed again. They want to get right back to the AFC Championship game. This time they're going to have that bruiser of a running back who might run for 1,800 yards this year. You know what I mean? And he takes the workload off of Lamar. Lamar takes the workload off of him. It's a 1-2 punch, and it might be the most scariest thing in the NFL. And honestly, we talk about maybe this is what's missing for Baltimore. Hey, Derrick Henry, he's never gotten to play with a super duper level quarterback before who can make plays. He is not. This is it. They're still thinking about losing that game to Kansas City. I don't think they'll ever get over it, but hopefully they can get back. This is going to be fascinating to see. And how do you handle his workload, Derrick Henry, moving forward? You got to keep him fresh for the playoffs. You have to.
Sure. And I'll put it this way. Their offense is designed such that they don't necessarily need to overuse Derrick Henry. It's only going to be certain games he's important. I think this is among them. But to Derrick Henry's credit, thus far, he's been mostly healthy. Yeah, in the past 2 seasons, he's gotten a little dinged up, but he's always been at least effective. So I feel like even if he is, we'll see down the stretch how they handle it, because you pose a good question. I'm not worried about that part yet. But we'll see what happens. If I start seeing his carries get a little higher than I'd like, then I reserve the right to revisit the conversation, Mark Moses, but it's a good point for sure.
It is. I can't wait. Monday night is going to be awesome. That's going to be a great game. I can't wait, buddy.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a fantastic football game, just like we had a fantastic time here on the Student of the Game pod. Mark Moses, tell the world.
All right, first off, I'm going to try to move this camera. Okay, look at this. That is my UCF autographed poster signed by Johnny Dawkins.
Nice.
And Josh Heupel for some reason. We were at an event that I hosted. Yeah. And that's the favorite UCF basketball team of all time with Taco Fall and BJ Taylor. And I tell that to Johnny Dawkins. I'm still angry about that Duke game, which is
I'm sure he is too. That's his alumni. It's
as it works. So just Mark Moses show on all social media. And hey, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
No, man, thanks for jumping in and helping us understand the true anomaly and awesome that is this Bears team, man. And by the way, one more point I want to add to, I meant to earlier, didn't say it. You're talking about all these quarterbacks from college getting experience and then showing some colors and experience in the NFL. I can only imagine what's in front of Michael Penix when he actually gets to step on the field. That's the real reason why I hated the Falcons pick. It got nothing to do with the Falcons' future. I wanted to see Michael Penix do something.
Look, Kirk Cousins is throwing for 500 yards. Penix can sit on the bench. Okay, we can wait.
Can't we have both? Couldn't another team have drafted him? I'm just saying.
No.
An honor, joy, and privilege to have you all aboard. Special thanks, of course, to Mark Moses for jumping in. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Check out my writings with the Fans First Sports Network, where I write for the Jags and also the Orlando Magic. I will be in the building there downtown at the Kia Center for a preseason Magic game. That's right. I do NBA preseason to Mark Moses. And then also, as this records on a Wednesday, tomorrow I will be at UCF Hoops Media Day. I'll be there with Donnie Docks and Bryson Turner breaking all that down. So that should be fun checking all that. That's the Black and Gold Banneret. By the way, Duval Dive happened earlier tonight, but you can check that out on the podcast there. Duval Dive by the Fans for Sports Network as well. And Saturday, I will be remotely covering the Iowa State hosting of the UCF Knights. I say hosting instead of roasting because I know it's a 2-touchdown spread on that one, Mark Moses. That's going to be a rough night. But I will be there for Sports Fan Therapy with my friend Bryson Turner and the Night Shift Live, brought to you by the Black and Gold Banneret. So, with all that being said, we'll see everybody next time. Until then, class dismissed.